What's up, everybody? Jaxxsin here, and today I want to talk about something a little bit more that I touched on in a video or two earlier on, but I want to get into a little bit more. And of course, I'm talking about the fanatical fans and their kind of psychotic actions during the hype of No Man's Sky and the following the big proverbial load, have you, of the release of No Man's Sky. And this is something that I want to talk about because when this first came up, when Kotaku first reported on that they were, delaying No Man's Sky, of course I'd heard that. And then after a little while, the news had come up that the Kotaku dude had gotten a death threat or whatever. Honestly, I didn't do anything about that because at the time, I was thinking in my mind, I was like, it wouldn't surprise me if this is just some bullshit stunt that they've come up with to, increase views or whatever. Because, when it comes to Kotaku and other such sites, I'm always suspect of their motives because I just, things have happened surrounding them and blah, 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 whatever. I'm suspect of their motives. I'm a very untrusting person as it is, just by habit. And so it's just one of those things where I was like, I bet maybe this guy is just full of shit. Like, maybe this didn't even happen. Like, this might not even be a legitimate tweet or whatever the fuck, email, whatever the fuck it was. I was just like, whatever. And then Sean Murray started to report them, and at the time I was even skeptical. I was like, did they, but I was like, I'm gonna do a video on it anyway, because if it is real, this is something that needs to be talked about. Because I'm sorry, it's not okay to threaten anyone's life over something as trivial as that. Like, I feel like human life shouldn't be threatened unless, like, legitimately they're threatening yours. That's just my personal opinion, my belief on it. And I'm the type of dude, like, you're chill, I will be chill, and, like, you know what I mean? And things will fucking... I'm a very passive type of person. I don't fucking go out of my way to be aggressive or be a dick. And so it's always confusing to me why people want drama, why people are like fucking feet on this shit, and but I was still skeptical. I was kind of like, maybe they're just saying it to hype the game further, even though it doesn't need it. I mean, this fucking thing by that point in time was a fucking snowball having rolled down the Alps, man. It was unstoppable. It was coming, it was a fucking full-blown avalanche. Like, the pre-orders alone were going to sustain the release of that game at that point. So this game was very, very, very anticipated by people. Understandably so, because a lot of the fucking things that they were saying that ended up not being in the game were, a little... It was disappointing that those things were left out of the game, is all I'm going to say. Now, that said, I fucking... Moving up to now, and Jim Sterling's latest Jimquisition... I don't know if it's his latest Jimquisition, but... the latest one on No Man's Sky, where he talks about his site actually getting DOSed or whatever it is, where they basically shut your site down for however many hours. His website got hit. And it was over his review of No Man's Sky, where he kind of said it was a 5 out of 10. Now, if you fucking watch a lot of Jim Sterling, I watch quite a bit of Jim Sterling. And he's someone that I've disagreed with on several fucking occasions. But when it comes down to issues that I fucking care about and things that I feel fucking really fucking matter, he's usually always on point. And so I'm more inclined to fucking stay a subscriber of his. And even though I find him disagreeable sometimes, I still enjoy his voice and I enjoy what he's saying. And for him to say it's a 5 out of 10 is a fucking praise. And I'm sorry for that. For No Man's Sky, like, I would have rated it slightly higher. But that's just because of the experience that I personally had with it in the beginning. I was in love with it, you know what I mean? So I probably would have given it a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. Alright? And that's if I did things like that. And I don't do things like that. I don't do a star scale. I don't do a rating like that. I don't do it. I just fucking kind of basically give my impressions. That's it. Whatever. That's how I review a game. But Jim knows enough. And I'm not a technical guy, so I would give a game that he would give a bad rating, due to the performance, I would give it slightly higher because I wouldn't notice it as much as he does. And so, all of his, fucking critiques were legitimate. Like, I couldn't even disagree with him on, like, several of them. There was a couple that I was like, okay, come on now. This is actually kind of a good thing in the game. You're getting a little ahead of yourself. But for the most part, everything he said that he was critical of mattered, and it made sense. And he was, you know, he's talking about just certain things, like the palettes, you know, not that being that variety, and like he was basically, and this isn't his fault, and this is the way that he should critique the game, is he was critiquing the game based on the hype as well as his own personal experience with it, okay? So gauged on the hype and all of the things that they were saying that everyone was listening to. If you gave a fuck about video games, you knew about fucking No Man's Sky, and you were fucking listening to the news story, alright? And that's the way we should judge games. Because if they're gonna say this, then when that game comes out and they do this, that, and that, then guess what? You need to fucking judge the game based on that. And you need to be critical of it as well. Because guess what? If you're not critical of it and you blindly follow it, then nothing will ever change in the situation. Nothing will ever get better. Alright? And these people that are like dossing his website and shutting him down are, you know, I'm sorry. If you have a valid argument, then you would argue with him. And if what he was saying didn't sting, you wouldn't give a shit. But it stings because he has a valid opinion and his thoughts are fucking well pronounced, and he's a fucking, you know, he's a well scripted cat. Jim Sterling, alright? He knows the fuck what he's saying. He knows how to deliver the fucking, you know, in a way that's gonna be enticing. And that's what really made these people mad. Was that it wasn't that they fucking felt like the game was a 10 out of 10, which they probably do. Because they're just blindly following at this point anything. And if they're shutting down any honest criticism of the thing that they love, then they don't give a fuck about the conversation anymore. And it's not about the conversation, it's about them trying to validate all their own personal BS. And this is a sad thing, because even though I disagree with Jim Sterling a lot, I would never want Jim Sterling's silence. Even though I may hate Kotaku and a lot of the shit that they represent and things that they fucking report on and like things that they've done, I would be a fucking shame to see someone under their employ lose their life because of a fucking opinion, or not even an opinion. He was delivering a factual fucking goddamn story. You know, and that's not, this isn't, you know, and I would hate to live in a world where game developers are getting killed if their games are pushed back. You know, and and I'm not gonna say that it was all that. But I was saying, you know what? That might have been a legitimate thing too. They might have been, you know, they might have maybe been able to convince Sony to push the game back and put some more time and effort into it, and, you know, fix up and add all the things that they're, you know, now planning on adding and things that they're planning on doing, right? Maybe they could have delivered all of that stuff. But as it were, you know, not only do you have the fucking corporate money-hungry motherfuckers breathing down your neck, now you got the people who you're making the game for saying they're gonna take your life. And, you know, I'm sure it was more the corporate fucking money breather, fucking mouth breather down the throat, fucking back of your neck. Whatever. I'm sure it was more of that. But at the same time, you can't rule out the possibility that Hello Games was just like, look, yo, should we just fucking release it? Because, you know, and then they're gonna love it anyway, because they're fucking crazy. They're ready to kill us over it, you know? I don't know. It's just one of these situations where it's one of these things I wanted to talk about, because I don't think that we should live in a world that silences opinions differing from our own. And, you know, I grew up in a place where that's kind of a thing. Like, if this person disagrees with you and has a different belief or opinion, you know, then they might just be on their way to hell, you know? And this is, you know, this is something I've grown up with my whole life, and it's one of the reasons I'm so able to be open-minded, is because people I love believe this stuff. And so I was able to learn it, and so I see it from my point of view and their point of view, and so I can't negatively shut down their point of view because I absolutely see their point of view, and it makes sense. And that's, you know, that's why I'm able to look at this and be like, okay, Jim Sterling didn't like the story in No Man's Sky. He felt that the choose your own adventure was boring and bullshit. And that's something I fucking loved in the game. Like, that's one of the things that I fucking loved the most out of No Man's Sky. So you know what? He shouldn't be able to say anything anymore. And he shouldn't be able to have his opinion heard because he disagrees with me on this one thing. And it's just, when did we get to a place in this fucking world where it's, I just hate it, man. I hate it. It's just such a magnificent display of arrogance and ignorance. If you're trying to just fucking, you know, like taking your time to shut down a website because they gave a fucking game that you super love a less than favorable review, which you wouldn't even give a fuck if it didn't hurt. And that's the thing, man, is like, I wish that these people, and this wouldn't even have been a problem. It wouldn't even have been a deal. If they just commented on Jim's video and just said, look, yo, fuck you. You know, you son of a bitch. Just be civil. You know, he's not gonna fucking, you know, be a, you know, I'm not gonna lie. If you're fucking making a stupid opinion, he will, like, bash you. But, you know, instead it's like, no, shut him up, shut him down. Threaten their lives, fucking. Anyway. Hope you enjoyed this installment of Fanboy fucking Fridays. I'm Jaxxsin, I'm out of here. I love you guys. Till next time, stay safe, stay awesome, stay kick-ass, be fucking cool to each other, man. Everyone chill the fuck out.